Welcome to the deep dive. We're here again to plunge into a stack of sources, pull out the core insights, and really make sense of it all for you. Today we're heading way up north. Think Arctic landscapes, snow everywhere, maybe those incredible northern lights swirling above. You might even picture yourself sleeping under glass watching the stars in an igloo. Well, our mission today is to see how you can actually make those dreams happen smoothly. Specifically, we're digging into the Finland and Norway tour packages offered by finlandtour-fi. We'll pull out the key stuff from their offerings, itineraries, the main routes they use, and yeah, even the magic of taking a cruise through those icy waters.
Exactly. And the goal here is to help you understand what makes these specific packages stand out. How does finlandtour-fi handle the tricky parts of traveling between countries up there in the Arctic? And what's great is our sources are straight from their website, so we're getting a real insider look at how they design these trips.
Okay, so first things first. When you're planning an Arctic trip, picking the right operator is, well, it's crucial, isn't it? Our sources point straight to finlandtour.fi. They operate under Eurotrail LLC, seem to be trusted specialists for Finland, Norway, Sweden, especially winter tours. But here's something interesting to highlight. They have their own fleets in Finland. Now that sounds specific. What does that actually mean for you, the traveler up there?
Yeah, that's a fascinating detail. It's not just a minor point. Think about it having their own vehicles, especially in Finland, that gives them a huge amount of control. We're talking flexibility. If the weather turns bad, which it can, they can potentially reroute things much faster, maybe get access to places others can't easily reach. So this direct involvement, owning vehicles, working directly with hotels, tour providers, it's not just about maybe getting better prices or quicker help like the site says. It translates to a trip that feels really personal, well-managed, and frankly easier. You've got real people on the ground who know the area. It's a big deal for reliability.
Right, okay, that makes sense. Reliability is key up there. So with that kind of control, what kinds of experiences are we actually looking at in these packages?
Oh, it's pretty much the classic Arctic winter dream. Visits to Finnish Lapland, Tromsø in Norway. And they pack in the highlights, Santa Claus Village, yes, you can actually meet Santa. An icebreaker cruise, which sounds amazing.
An icebreaker, wow.
Yeah, and staying in an igloo, visiting the ice hotel in Kiruna, Sweden. Plus things like the cable car in Tromsø for views, whale watching.
Whale watching too.
And, of course, the big one, Northern Lights tours. It seems they cover a lot of the iconic stuff.
Okay, let's talk about the journey itself.
Right.
The geography. These aren't just single-stop trips, are they? We're talking crossing borders up near the top of Europe. So maybe starting in Finland, heading over to Sweden, then maybe up along the Norwegian coast.
Exactly. The popular Finland and Norway packages often follow that kind of path. Typically from Rovaniemi in Finland, then across to Kiruna in Sweden, and onwards to Tromsø in Norway. That's a common route.
And what about duration? How long do these trips usually take?
They mention examples like 6 nights, 7 days, starting around, 3,985 per person, up to maybe 9 nights, 10 days, for about 4,495.
But for a trip covering that much ground, is that enough time? What do they suggest?
That's a really important point they make. The sources strongly advise against rushing, just ticking boxes. To really get the feel for these places, they suggest minimum stays. For a combined Finland and Norway tour, they're thinking at least 5 nights in Finland.
5 nights just in Finland, okay.
Yeah, then maybe a full night in Kiruna and at least 3 nights in Tromsø. It's about having time to actually experience it, allow for weather, soak it all in, not just see it through a window.
That makes sense. And then you mentioned cruises. That adds a whole other dimension, right?
Yeah.
Especially for the Northern Lights.
Absolutely. This is where finlandtour.fi seems to integrate things really well. They partner with Havila Voyages for Northern Lights cruises as part of some Finland and Norway tours.
Imagine that, seeing the aurora from a ship's deck away from all the land lights.
Exactly. They list itineraries like a 7-night, 8-day trip. That one goes Rovaniemi to Levi, then up to Kirkenes in Norway, and then you cruise down the coast to Tromsø. Starting price, around 5,300.
Kirkenes first, then cruise. Okay, that's a different route option.
Yeah, it avoids the Kiruna land route. And for people wanting more sea time, there are longer options too, like a big 14-night, 15-day Havila cruise from Kirkenes all the way down to Bergen. That covers a huge chunk of the Norwegian coast.
Wow, Bergen. That's quite the voyage. And cabin choices.
They mention multiple options on Havila: basic inside cabins, sea view, even suites, so you can tailor that part.
Okay, so you have these 2 main flows. Rovaniemi, Kiruna, Tromsø overland, or Rovaniemi towards Kirkenes, and then cruising to Tromsø.
Pretty much. And linking back to planning, the sources give some smart advice about flights. For these multi-country tours.
Yeah.
It's often better, maybe cheaper, to fly into one country, say Helsinki, and then fly out of another, like Tromsø or Oslo. An open-jaw ticket, they call it.
Ah, instead of booking a return flight back to Helsinki.
Exactly. Avoids backtracking, saves time, and often works out better financially. It's a practical tip worth remembering.
Good one. Are there other variations besides those main Rovaniemi, Kiruna, Kirkenes, Tromsø flows?
Yeah, they mention a few others, like dedicated Rovaniemi and Tromsø packages, maybe routing through places like Sariselka or Levi in Finland before heading towards Norway. And for those really drawn to the Norwegian coast, there's a Finland and Norway tour that specifically includes the Lofoten Islands.
Oh, the Lofotens. Heard they're spectacular.
Yeah, often stopping in Narvik and Svolvær. These trips tend to be longer, 10 to 13 days maybe. There's even a 12-night, 13-day one mentioned that includes an orca train journey. Adds another travel experience.
Okay, so lots of options depending on focus. Now let's switch gears slightly to the activities. What are the unique things you get to do and how do they shape the itinerary?
Right, because the activities often dictate where you go within these countries. The sources highlight some regional specialties. Igloo stays, for example, that's very much a Finnish Lapland thing.
The classic glass igloo experience?
Exactly. Then if you head up to Kirkenes in Norway, that's the place for the king crab safari.
King crab safari. Sounds intense.
Apparently it is. And Kiruna in Sweden, of course, is famous for the ice hotel. While Tromsø is highlighted for whale-watching cruises and the Fjellheisen cable car trail for those amazing views.
So each key stop has its own signature experiences.
Pretty much. And one that stood out to me was the icebreaker cruise mention.
You mentioned that earlier, yeah.
The source notes it as a uniquely Finnish experience, different from what you might find in Russia. It really shows how a specific, maybe once-in-a-lifetime activity can be the anchor for part of the trip. It drives where you go.
Fascinating. Okay, let's tackle some practical questions people might have based on the sources. Can you actually visit both Rovaniemi and Tromsø easily together?
Yes, definitely. The sources confirm two main ways. You can go overland by road, usually via Kiruna in Sweden, or sometimes Narvik in Norway.
Right, the route we discussed.
Or the other option, go by road from Rovaniemi up to Kirkenes in Norway, and then take that coastal cruise down to Tromsø.
Okay, so road via Kiruna, or road plus cruise via Kirkenes. And what about fitting in that king crab safari? Can you go Rovaniemi to Kirkenes for the safari, then cruise to Tromsø?
Yep, the sources say that's a perfectly viable itinerary they offer, so you get the safari experience and the coastal cruise perspective.
And how do transfers work between these places? Included?
Generally, yes. For the Rovaniemi to Tromsø via Kiruna route, they say cab transfers are included. And if you choose the Rovaniemi to Kirkenes, then cruise to Tromsø option, the cab transfer to Kirkenes, and the cruise cabin cost itself are included in the package.
That's good to know. What about flying between Rovaniemi and Tromsø?
Also an option. They mention flights are available for those maybe shorter on time, but still wanting to hit both key spots.
Right. Now, the big question for many, budget. What do the sources say about the cost?
They're quite upfront about it. Visiting multiple Arctic countries, especially Lapland, in winter, well, it's not cheap.
A high demand, unique logistics, I guess.
Exactly. High demand, specialized activities, sometimes remote locations. Plus, those cross-border car transfers, particularly between Finland and Norway, can add a fair bit to the cost. It's just an expensive region to operate in and travel through.
So managing expectations on budget is important.
Definitely. But it also highlights the potential value of a package where those significant transfer costs are already bundled in.
And one last planning factor to circle back on. Season. These specific tours we're discussing, they're very much winter focused, right?
Absolutely. These Finland and Norway packages going from Rovaniemi towards Tromsø via Kiruna or Kirkenes are explicitly designed for winter travel. Northern lights, snow activities, that whole vibe.
So if you were thinking summer.
The itinerary would likely look very different. The sources suggest summer trips would probably focus more on the capital cities, like Helsinki and Oslo or other larger southern centers. The Arctic focus is really a winter thing for these types of tours.
Okay, that's a crucial distinction. So bringing all this together, what's the main takeaway for you, the potential traveler, looking at these complex Arctic journeys?
Well, I think it really emphasizes that going with a specialist like finlandtour-fi aims to take the stress out of it. They handle the complicated bits, the cross-border logistics, the timings.
So you can just focus on the experience.
That seems to be the goal, making it enjoyable and manageable, navigating that unique Arctic environment for you.
And their knowledge, their local connections, that help secure the good hotels, the best experiences.
That's what they claim. And it makes sense. Ensuring those bucket list things, the glass igloo, seeing the aurora, maybe a husky ride, are actually delivered well with care and good planning, turning the dream trip into a smooth reality.
You really get a sense of that from some of the testimonials they feature too, like Maria Polier calling her honeymoon perfect igloo stay, snow hotel, romantic cruise, topped off by the northern lights.
Yeah, that sounds pretty incredible.
Or Alina Phillips, seeing the lights most nights thanks to the planning, and loving the Arctic cruise. Nakamura found the itinerary unbeatable.
It suggests the combination of Finland and Norway really works for people.
And Johan Lavagna described the Havila cruise part as calming and beautiful, highlighting the coastal views and seeing the lights from the ship. These sound less like just holidays and more like, well, profound experiences.
Life-changing adventures, almost, when it all comes together like that.
So we've really dug deep today into these Finland and Norway tours from finlandtour-fi. We've covered the itineraries, the different route options, Kirkenes versus Kiruna, the cruise element, the activities, the planning side.
Yeah, and it really shows how a well-designed tour from a company that knows the area can simplify something complex. It turns potentially stressful logistics into a seamless adventure, making sure you actually get to do the unique things and see the amazing landscapes without feeling overwhelmed by how to get from A to B to C. You can just be present in the moment.
Absolutely. So as you sit there listening, picturing yourself maybe bundled up under the Arctic sky, what really calls to you if you were heading off on one of these journeys? What's the one absolute must-do experience that would define the trip for you? Is it seeing the northern lights from the deck of a cruise ship? Or maybe the thrill of that king crab safari? Or perhaps just the quite unique piece of staying in an igloo? Something to think about. And maybe, just maybe, something to start planning.